We're next going to talk about decision-making under uncertainty. It's a scenario where the best choices aren't clear, outcomes are unpredictable, and yet decisions still need to be made. I think it's what we call life. Uncertainty can significantly affect our choices, often more than we realize. In the realm of global staffing, this uncertainty might stem from not knowing how a remote team will perform, how cultural differences will impact the operation, or what the long-term benefits of such an arrangement will be. Let's explore some of the key concepts from behavioral economics that will shed light on how we handle uncertainty. The first is loss aversion. This principle suggests that the pain of losing is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. In business, this means companies might avoid global staffing because of the risk of poor outcome feel more significant than the potential gains. The second is ambiguity aversion. Often businesses prefer an option with a known probability of success, even if it's low, over the option where success could be greater, but the probabilities are unknown. This can lead to choosing local hires over global ones simply because the outcomes feel more predictable. And then you have the status quo bias. This is a bias that leads us to prefer things that stay the same by doing nothing or maintaining a current or previous decision. It's a major reason that businesses stick with local staffing despite the availability of potentially better alternatives globally. How can businesses overcome these biases? It starts with acknowledging them. Recognizing these mental blocks is the first steps towards making an informed, rational decision. Here are a few strategies we can use to help us. 1. Scenario planning. By developing detailed scenarios for how global staffing could play out, including best case, worst case, and most likely scenarios, this can help us quantify uncertainties and make them more manageable. The second are pilot programs. I recommend this all the time. Before fully committing, run a small-scale pilot project with a global team. This reduces the perceived risk by allowing the business to test the waters with minimal investment. The third is incremental integration. Gradually integrating global staff into a business operation rather than switching all at once. This allows adjustment and learning at manageable stages, reducing the fear associated with big changes. This fourth strategy is a little unconventional, and it might not be able to take advantage of it just because of cost reasons, but it can be powerful, and it is hiring more people at one time. This is a strategy that Rory talks about in his book if you find yourself leaning towards the predictable. While in his illustration he was talking about buying a car or home, I think that it fits well here. So if you're going to buy a house, what type of house would it be? Most of us would likely buy an average house to fit most of our needs. Close to our work, but close to school. However, if you can have two different houses, they would likely be wildly different in terms of style, location, and layout. The extra options allow us to make choices that fit the extents of our lives rather than just the average of our lives. And the same can happen in business if we want to increase diversity in people, ideas, and choosing more at one time allows us to break out of the safe mold because we often get to pick the person we think we need, but then we can also pick other people and other options to give us and take us to the extents of what we could use in the business, which often leads to more diversity. So as we navigate the complexities of decision making under uncertainty, remember that stepping out of our comfort zone, even slightly, can lead to discoveries that significantly alter our businesses for the better. The key is not to avoid uncertainty, but to manage it wisely, allowing your business to grow and adapt in ways you might never have considered if you had stayed in the confines of certainty. As we round out today's discussion on decision-making and global staffing, let's focus on a powerful technique that can change the entire landscape of how we make decisions, and that is reframing. Reframing is about changing the context in which the problem is perceived. It's not just seeing the glass as half full instead of half empty. It's understanding that the glass can be refilled. When it comes to decision making, whether it is global staff or some other business issue, reframing can help us to see beyond the immediate challenges and appreciate the potential long-term benefits. Let's look at some practical ways to reframe our thoughts. A powerful reframe that I heard recently is, if I gave you $10 million, would you take it? Of course, you might say. But there's one condition. If you take it, you won't wake up tomorrow. Unless you have a death wish, your decision is most likely changed. So you're saying waking up tomorrow is more valuable than $10 million. That's powerful. How would you change your life if you understood that and you lived that every day? We can reframe the issues in our lives, and we can do the same thing for our businesses. Here are a couple powerful reframes for our businesses that you might be able to use when considering any issue or global staffing for that matter. The first reframe is from cost to investment. Instead of viewing global staffing merely as a cost-saving measure, reframe it as an investment in accessing a broader talent pool and enhancing global reach. This perspective encourages us to think about returns in innovation, diversity of ideas, and giving our businesses a competitive advantage. The second reframe is from risk to opportunity. Shift the focus on the risks of cultural differences and logistical challenges to seeing these as opportunities for innovation and learning. Embracing diversity can lead to creative solutions and new market insights that weren't possible before. The third reframe is from exploitation to collaboration. When I first started working overseas and I told people what I was doing, it was kind of like, oh, so you've decided to exploit people. For me, nothing could be further from the truth. But for some, this idea lingers because, again, it can be true, but it doesn't have to be the truth. I have a twofold mission in life: to provide people with opportunities and to help them to grow. One of the things that I love about working overseas is I believe I can make an outsized difference compared to working here in the United States. The people overseas are hungry for leadership, training, and guidance. These are things that we might take for granted here in the United States, but they're not as common overseas. Yes, it's true, if you're hiring overseas, you have to be careful because you're coming from a position of power, and that can be abused. But I think the great reframe here is that this is not exploitation if done correctly. It's collaboration. People from around the world helping us to build our businesses as we help them build their careers, provide for their families, and help them reach their full potential. I encourage you to think about how you can reframe your own challenges and decisions. What aspects of your business could benefit from a fresh perspective? How might changing your viewpoint open up new paths to success that you hadn't considered before? Remember, the power of the reframe isn't just in solving problems. It's in discovering new opportunities that transform our approach to business and lead to breakthroughs we never imagined possible. So, to recap our talk today, here are some tools to help us to make better decisions, whether in life or in business. The first one is discovering the truth, not just what is true. The second is determining if satisficing is serving you well, and if you need to move beyond good enough in search of what is optimal. The third are there tools in your toolbox you've decided not to use? Is not using those tools helping you or hurting you? The fourth, discover some of your decision-making biases around uncertainty and develop tools and processes to help you to overcome them. The fifth and final one is reframing and understanding, as Shakespeare once said, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I hope today's discussion inspires you to look at your decisions through a new lens and explore the endless possibilities that lie beyond the conventional. Until next time, keep on challenging the status quo and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.